So here are all the components of my branding setup, and I will just go through and show you how I set this all up. So right here we've got our little handy dandy Honda generator, which typically I use this to run the electric branding iron. Works great for that. This is my vaccine box. It's got my vaccine guns in it, and ear taggers, needles, castrating bands, a knife, just some kind of random stuff in there. Here's the electric branding iron. In fact, I'm really kind of excited for this weekend because this will be the first time that I get to use this new branding iron, which you can see is a one-piece iron, whereas this one, so our brand is the 3/4 circle, and you can see that this just has the one 1/4 circle, so I have to apply this 3 times to the calf. And I finally got the bright idea. I don't know what took me so long, but I had this one made, which is a one-piece brand. So I just apply this once, and it'll save a lot of time overall in the branding process. So anyway, yeah, the generator runs the iron. This is the pump for the hydraulic calf table made by Roop Manufacturing in Iowa. And I cannot say enough good about this calf table setup. I don't have the table over here yet. I'll show you that when I bring it over here. But this is just an electric motor with a little hydraulic pump. And it's super simple. You just plug it into a 120 outlet. I will run power. I have power over there on the other side of those corrals. And I'll just run an extension cord over and be able to power the chute. We have one branding later on that's way up in the hills, and there isn't power up there. And what I do is I bring this little generator to run the iron, and then I have another generator that I bring to run the calf table, just so you don't overload this little generator. And then these are just a bunch of old sheep panels that we had laying around on the ranch, and they work perfect for calves. They're just the right height, and I'll show you how I set those up. Okay. I always have to remember how I do this, because a whole year's gone by since I did it last, and I always have to sit here and think about it, how it works. Do I have that gate open? Yeah, I think this is right. I think I use this gate in about that position, if I remember. I still need to be able to shut this gate so that we can use our alley to run pairs up here and sort them off on Saturday morning. To be able to put my gate on the back here. There. And like this. Another one right there. I think that's right. Like this. These are the little steel rods that drop down in between the panels and hold them together. Just got that. I like to have these set up about as wide as I am. And that way, once you get the calf in here, these calves are real little and narrow, and if it's much wider, they can just turn their head like this, and then they can like bend in half. They're made of rubber, and then it's really annoying when they turn around on you. So. Okay guys, so it took me about 25 minutes to set the panels up, and half of that or more was me standing around scratching my head trying to remember how it works. But because it's been a year, and every year it seems like I set it up a little differently, but this is more or less the setup. I still need to just come over here and wire this stuff together. But so at this point, I'm gonna go back to the ranch and get the calf table and bring it over here and set it up. Here is the calf table. This thing is awesome. Been using it, this will be our 4th year using it. Haven't had a single issue with it yet. So I just hook these chains right here. And then I will get the hydro bed and back up and just lift it up onto the bed. Just like that. I'm just going a short distance. I'm not even gonna strap it down or anything. It's chained onto those arms, not going anywhere, so. I just realized I got the table facing the wrong direction, because we brand on the left rib, and I forgot that I have to turn this table around. They have to come in this direction so that we get the brand on the left side. Okay, we'll spin this thing around. I knew something was wrong when I was doing that. I was like, something doesn't seem right from last year. It's a very odd kind of like new CrossFit workout. That's how I'm looking at it. There we go. Now we've got it. Okay. Anyway, there she be. Nice and squared up to that alley. Calves go right in there. I will hook this thing up really quick and turn it on so you can see how it works. Return line. Pretty slick. Sure, a lot easier than the old mechanical calf tables. You had to flip them over by hand. The only risk of this one is you might get carpal tunnel syndrome after 40 years of doing this. That's about the only injury you can risk on this. So somebody will bring the calves up the alley right here. We'll open the gate. We'll make sure these are open. The calf will come in here, and I grab him around the belly and then grab him around the head and then just flip him up like this. Brand him, castrate, give a shot, ear tag, and out the gate. I've got this little iron stand that I will, let's see, I'll be standing right around here, so I will probably put that in right here somewhere. And I can put my iron just like that. I also stake this table down so that it doesn't start walking on us as we use it. So I will do that real quick. So there it is. It's all set up, ready to go. It's Monday, and Saturday morning we'll have 100 calves here, and we'll get them branded. So there are definitely a lot of things I like about this setup. And you know, it took me about a little over an hour to get it all set up. It's very mobile. I can take it because we brand in 3 different places. We brand about 400 calves every spring, and in 3 brandings. And it's mobile. It's easy to transport it around where I need to go. One of the benefits of this setup is that you're very flexible as far as weather goes. Um, when you rope and drag calves, kind of the traditional cowboy way of doing it, the way we used to do it, you do get somewhat limited by weather, especially in the spring. Um, you know, in Wyoming, it can be pretty rainy, and um, you really can't brand calves when you drag them through the mud up to the fire to brand them, and they're caked with mud and their hides wet and everything. It's very difficult to brand them. With this setup, you're not dragging calves, and you can kind of just wipe their hide off and brand them with the electric iron. Um, or if it's just really sopping wet, you can just reschedule and do it the next day, because you don't have to have, it requires a fraction of the amount of help to brand this way. You don't have to reschedule ropers and reschedule wrestlers, and you know, put a big, you know, make a big branding meal and then get rained out and have to sort that out and reschedule. So this is really convenient and flexible from that standpoint as well. Um, I think it's a lot easier on the calves. This is when they get into this chute and get squeezed by those hydraulics, they can't fight, they can't struggle. It's a lot less kind of physical on the calves as compared to roping them and dragging them to a fire. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's nice that this is so easy on the calves. It's also really easy on the help. Nobody has to get up and down, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Like when you wrestle calves, you have to throw them down on the ground, get down on the calf, and hold the calf down, and then get back up and down and up. And over time, you know, it just wears, it's hard on your body, you know. Um, so there's that. Um, don't get me wrong, there will always be a soft spot in my heart for the traditional way of branding, which is horseback, roping the calves, dragging them to the fire, and branding them that way, having people wrestle them, and something very nostalgic about that, and very Western about it. And I do get conflicted at times about having that kind of old way go by the wayside around here. Um, you know, and not having my kids learn to wrestle calves and not having them learn to rope, because they don't. I mean, that's really the only time we ever roped around here was at branding, to rope calves. So there's that. Those are considerations definitely that I think about. But um, I don't know. I just this setup, this system really works for us, and I just like it. And from year one, the first year we used this, everybody around here, my parents, me, and all of our help were like, "That's pretty sweet." Not gonna lie, we kind of like it. So it definitely has its drawbacks. Like you just saw, it took me about an hour, a little over an hour of preparation, setting up, getting things ready to go. Um, you also have to, when you bring the pairs in, you have to separate all the cows off. So that's a little bit of extra. It's a little time consuming to do that. You have to have all the calves separated, and so that there aren't cows in with them, mashing them around and smashing them and stuff. You don't want cows in when you're bringing these calves up into the alley. When you rope and drag them, you sort most of the cows off, but you can still leave some of the cows in there, and it's a lot less sorting that needs to be done that way. It's just and it's kind of a wimpy way to brand. I mean, for lack of a better word, it's just kind of like a wussified way to do it, but I don't really pay too much attention to that. I just like to get the work done and get it done safely and efficiently. So it is what it is. It's not for everybody, but it really works well for us. And we will be using a combination of old and new techniques. That's how we do things here on this ranch. We still use horses for a lot of stuff, but we use hydraulics and equipment and dirt bikes and drones and just any kind of tool. If it's a tool that helps me get my job done and helps me, another thing that I really like is being independent. I like to just get stuff done on my own and not have to have a lot of help. So that's always something that is kind of appealing to me. If I can ever find a technique of doing something that cuts out labor, I'm always for it. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. Um, it's a lot of the fun camaraderie on the ranch is revolves around the old traditional ways of doing stuff, like gathering horseback and having 12 or 15 riders to go gather some of these bigger pastures, and then having a big branding where you're roping and dragging and having all the people rope and making their horses and watching good horsemanship and good Western cowboy skill in action. All that stuff's cool. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that, and there's always a spot for that. But it is also nice to just go and do stuff and get it done by yourself and just go on about your life and do the other things you need to take care of. So anyway, I digress. At this point, I thought it'd be kind of cool for you all to see. I'm going to fly the drone up and show you where these cows are right now and kind of give you an idea, kind of a bird's eye view of how this is going to look and where the cows are going to be coming from and how we're going to get them over here on Friday. So we'll do that now. Okay, so here we are at the corrals, and you can see there we are. There's the branding setup. I'll just fly over that real quick so you can kind of see a bird's eye view of it. So yeah, the main alley, we'll bring the cows up there, we'll sort the calves off, and then just bring them through into that little A pen and push them into the table and brand them and send them on their way. But I'll fly over here and show you where the cows are and where we'll be gathering them from. So you'll see straight ahead, there's some of the cows that we'll be gathering. So as you can see, really not going to be a terribly long distance or a long gather to get them moved over here. Looks like there's maybe 10 or 12 pairs there. All this country back behind where they are, all these canyons and ridges and stuff, that's where all the cows are this time of year. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to get about 100 pairs kind of split off from the main bunch and bring them around and brand them this Saturday, because we need to take 100 pairs to the Grazing Association. And so that's a really easy way to do it, is to try to cut off 100 of them and brand them separately and then have them separated. And then it's a lot easier to haul them that way. Still on the winter feed ground. It's kind of funny because about half of my cows will just camp on this feed ground. And the other half, once the green grass starts coming, they will leave the feed ground and go up into the hills. It's kind of funny, their behavior. But it makes it kind of handy because the ones that are left over, it usually ends up being about the right number of cows. So it's really easy to get them in, brand them, and then haul them to the Grazing Association. Okay, so you see where all these cows are. What I'm going to do on Friday is open the gates in this corral right here and just start hazing cattle out of this feed ground area and onto our hay meadow here. This draw, you can kind of see where the road comes around there. And once I've got about 100, It doesn't have to be spot on, but like, 90 to 110 or what, however it works. Then we will come across this hay meadow kind of along the road here. And there's a little ridge that comes down to the left of the screen. We'll go around to the right side of that, stay on the hay meadow, and just bring them along this little field that's next to the highway. And then that's basically just a straight shot into the corral. So it's, I don't know, it's a little over a mile total distance. Really going to be a short gather. It's a pretty easy gig. And then once they get past these buildings right here, there is a fence, and we can just drop them right there and let them mother up on Friday. And at that point, they will be in these these small little pastures here that are right next to the corral. And then Saturday morning, we will go in horseback and gather them into the corral and sort them off and get ready to brand. And then after we get done branding, we will turn them back out into these little traps, these little small pastures that are next to the corral, and they will stay there for about 10 days, and we'll let the calves heal up and do another branding. And then as soon as we're done with our third and last branding, we will come back in here, regather this, and haul these pairs up to the Grazing Association, which the Grazing Association is pretty much right in the center of the screen right now, way up that valley. If you can see where the road kind of goes off, and then you can see where it forks and the road goes off to the right, and then there's another canyon that goes to the left. The Grazing Association, where these cows are going, is going to be up that left canyon and past up that draw quite a ways, kind of moving towards the horizon. That's where they will spend the summer. Okay, guys, so on Friday when I go to gather, I will take the camera and take you all along, and then as well as Saturday when we go to brand. So stay tuned.